Today's video is for you if you are in the profession of selling. You're an entrepreneur, whether you're selling online, offline, you are selling digital, non-digital, doesn't matter. If you're in the profession of selling, then this is for you. A question that I have been asked many times, and I've tried helping people with this, is I'm doing everything when it comes to selling. I know my product, I know what problem it solves, I understand and I do convey the value, and I have the credibility, I have the social proof, and I do everything. Yet I'm not able to sell. Yet my numbers, my conversions are bad, and I don't know what's going wrong with this. And I help people, and I explain this. That is, unless and until you are not creating micro moments of depth in your sales process, and you do that multiple times along the way, then the chances are you may not have the sale. Now, the traditional sales training talks about creating depth. One of the ways you might have already known this, and this is what is recommended, this is what is being sold in the marketplace, which is the longer you keep the prospect in the problem frame, the chances are that you are widening the gap, right? You keep them in the problem frame. And the way you widen the gap is by asking questions that are introspecting. So the more you allow the prospect to introspect, the deeper you are driving that conversation, you're creating depth, and the chances are you'll have a better close towards the end. That's the traditional sales training. The question is, how do we implement this? What kind of questions to ask? Well, I've seen people do that but still don't close. This happened with me personally. Forget about me referring and taking anybody, kind of quoting other people in this conversation. And ever since I discovered this, my not only I have become, and I'm doing more justice to the value I'm trying to convey, but at the same time, I am able to also retain, and um, I see the numbers shifting not only in my business but also in several of other small business owners and advertisers. So, what are these micro moments of depth, and where can you use them? Let's go one by one. The first and the foremost is called injecting a thoughtful pause. That's the first one. Injecting thoughtful pause. So, what it means is, as your prospect is saying something, you genuinely pause for maybe 2 or 3 seconds, you listen, and then you respond. By the time you listen, by the time they are done, by the time you respond, there has to be some microseconds in the middle, 2 to 3 seconds. And the pause in itself builds credibility. It elevates your perceived value and also elevates the trustworthiness. I have done this before when I used to do radio shows very early on. When people used to call in, I used to speak over their question. I would wait, and I used to rush to answer their question. And in the process, I may have done good to the caller, but everybody else who was listening to me, they thought that I was cutting off the caller. They thought that I wasn't, I didn't sound congruent if I was speaking over. And I analyzed over 200 different calls of mine, recordings of my radio shows, to come to this conclusion that I need to inject pause as I speak. Now, a later part of my radio, and as I started to mature through this process, as I started to implement this process of micro pauses, or thoughtful pauses, I started to realize I was pausing too much, and that was a problem too later. But the key is that you got to inject a pause and deliberate pause as many times as possible. Every time there is a situation where the prospect is, you know, is saying something and they are deep in their thought and they are conveying, you got to listen, let them complete the whole thing, and you pause and then you respond. The second micro moment of depth you need to create is what we call the name echo. The name echo is as, let's say, for example, your name is John, and I'm talking to you, and as you and I are talking, at some point I will say this. I'll say, I understand, John. I totally get it. Let's see, how would you approach this, John? John, you and your friend Dave. So you see how I'm using the name and in different contexts in the conversation. Name echoing creates familiarity, and it builds rapport, and it also does what is called building the subconscious warmth. And essentially all this means is that you are creating a genuine connection and you are holding their attention by using name echoes. Okay. The third micro moments of depth is what is called permission based progression. So back in the day, 24 years ago, it was all teleseminars for us. Along the way, webinars came, and I've seen even from the stage also, when people are closing one-on-one or webinar or on the stage, I see presenters, I see speakers struggle transitioning from teaching to pitching. That's the transition. Like, I'm done teaching for 30 minutes. Now I have to pitch the product. The transition is so hard because they're so deep into training that and again, you're new at this, then you struggle with this. But then you are in the game for a long time. You're a pro. You probably do this, unconsciously anyway. But then it's easier when you say, do I have your permission to share with you an incredible, training or coaching or a product that I have that's going to benefit you more? Okay. You have been with me for the last 35 minutes. Is it okay with you if I share with you something that's you're going to take home, and it's going to create the results, and it's going to deepen whatever you just learned here, but also will help you whatever, right? So you take that permission. Okay. What it does is, in sales, there is a concept called micro agreement. And when you are asking that question, the prospect is sitting there saying, okay, in their mind. They're not saying that to you, but they're saying, yeah, okay, yeah, fine. They may say that, but let's say you are on a webinar, they may not be saying that. If you ask for a response on the webinar, hey, drop in yes in the chat, then they may, as you may see them. But it builds what is called build felt safety. Okay, builds felt safety. Okay, so felt, the prospect feels safe through this process, and it's being perceived at that point that you are a collaborator and you do not have your own personal agenda that you are pushing, and completely removes resistance from the sales process when you do that. Okay, so the next one is what is called micro transparency shares. Okay, you share some transparency in a small little transparency, micro transparency shares, and you can do multiple of them. That's why they're called shares. But you can do one or two, and one of the common ones I use, which actually, as I'm recording this video today, I have exactly about 6 days from today, I'm running a challenge called the Positive Positioning Challenge. And I have used this before, but specifically I've used this for this challenge also. So what it means is, you say something like this: this is not for everyone. This is for you if you are, this and this and this. For example, people sent me emails asking, how do I know this is for me? This challenge is for me. And my response to them is, listen, this is not for you if you are just wanting to test. Okay, I'll come and see what Srini is talking, what he's sharing. don't need to check, don't need to test. If you have a genuine problem happening in your life, for example, you are stressed, you are overwhelmed, and you are going through chaos, you are going through some level of of you know uh, something that's bothering you, and you're looking for a triage, you're looking for a solution, you're not able to find, then this challenge is for you. It's not for everyone. You have a pain, you have a suffering, you should come to this. So what this does is, because the reason why this is a powerful, this is a powerful micro moments of that creates a powerful micro moments of that, because it displays honesty. Now you cannot fake this. You genuinely have to do this. None of these techniques you can fake. You genuinely have to do this. Okay, so you, and again, you don't want wrong, buyers, and you don't want to work with wrong clients, and that's why you are in this business. Let's say you're a coach, you're a trainer, you're a speaker. You want the right people. You need the right audience. Why you want to work with people who are not interested in what you're offering. And the last micro moments of that is language mirroring. If the prospect is using the words like, I'm overwhelmed. John, I understand in a few moments ago you said you're overwhelmed. Can you please explain and kind of take me through specifically what you mean by overwhelmed? And then if the words they say, I've been going through a lot of challenges in my life, let's say, and the answer and the way you phrase that word back is, you said you are going through some challenges in your life. Then can you please explain what you mean specifically? What are these challenges? Can you give me one? Can you give me two? You narrow them down. Or you don't need to actually ask those questions back. You don't need to phrase the word back in questions. You can use that as a normal conversation. For example, you'll say, there has a lot is going on in my life. Okay, but a lot, and you hear that word, and then 2 or 3 minutes later, you can say, you could be going through a lot in your life, and then you can say what I want to say. That's why you should check this, or you try this, or whatever you want to say. Okay, try these 5, by the way. You don't need to try all these 5, but try some of these, and let me know whether you're doing a webinar or a seminar or a workshop, and let me know, or maybe one-on-one. Let me know, how you were able to. First of all, let me know, write a comment. Let me know if you have used any of these, or maybe very familiar with these things before watching this video. Have you heard about these things before? And if you did you use them? And if you did use them, what was the response? I want to know personally. If this video was helpful, do me a favor, press the like button so the algorithm kicks in. I can reach some more people. My videos don't get more than 4 or 5 views, by the way, and I'm here every day, literally. So if you subscribe to this channel, I'm here every day. Primarily this channel is about self-improvement. This is about psychology, obviously entrepreneurship. And I take multiple different topics across these categories, and I share them here on this channel. Okay, so that's all for now. Wherever you are, you be safe, and I'll be with you as early as tomorrow. You take care. Bye now.